Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Inshallah, if there's any brothers that are participating in the class, please, inshallah, if everyone come forward. Everyone come forward, inshallah. We're not going to carry on with the story of Yusuf today. Inshallah, we're going to carry on from next week. Some sisters came, they wanted to also benefit, but there's an event that's going on downstairs. We don't want them to miss out. So what we'll do is, inshallah, we'll just do something else. We'll take a different benefit today, and we'll carry on with the story of Yusuf alayhi salam from next week, inshallah, and we'll finish it next week. I want to talk to you guys about sabr, patience. Okay? I want to talk about patience. The reason I want to talk to you about patience is because there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that's narrated by Imam al-Tabarani. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Iman is divided into two halves. One half of Iman is shukr, gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the other half of Iman is as-sabr, patience. To have patience with regards to, and we'll talk about what you have patience with in a second. So sabr and shukr are the two halves that together make Iman. And that's why Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he decided to write a book on this whole topic. He took this one hadith, and we've all probably seen the famous book Patience and Gratitude by Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah. It's been translated into English. It's based on this hadith. So it's important that we talk about sabr. If it is half of our iman, then by you attaining patience and perfecting it, then you've inshallah ta'ala succeeded with regards to half your iman. So inshallah ta'ala, let's study it. First and foremost, let's take its linguistic meaning. What does as-sabr mean linguistically in the Arabic language? Because as we know that words have a linguistic meaning and they also have a shar'i meaning. There are words that are used in the language a particular way, and then they're used in the sharia a different way. I'll give an example. The word salah in the Arabic language means dua. But when me and you talk about, hey, have you prayed salah? Are you going to pray salah? We're not asking, have you made dua? Are you going to make dua? We're not asking that. What are we asking? We're asking, have you performed your daily prescribed ritual, which begins with a takbir, ends with a taslim, in between it are particular words that you recite and particular actions that you do. That's what we're talking about, right? But is there a dua within the salah? Al-Fatiha is a dua, is it not? Fatiha. What do you say at the end? Ameen. You say Ameen, because the dua that you just made. And in sajda you make dua, and in tashahud you make dua, and sending salah upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what? It's a dua for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So the point is that there is dua in the salah. There is dua in the salah. So when the sharia takes a word and it coins it for a particular usage, it takes a word from the Arabic language and it either and it adds something to the original meaning, or it restricts something within the original meaning. Does that make sense? So the same way sabr, it has a meaning in the Arabic language, and then it has a meaning in the sharia. What is the meaning in the Arabic language? It's always good to study that first, because it helps you understand why the sharia named it this word, why it chose this word for this thing, and it helps you understand the word a little bit better. Does that make sense? So the word sabr in the Arabic language means al-habs, which means imprisonment. It means imprisonment. It means to imprison. To imprison what? Yourself. To place yourself in a prison. To hold yourself. To confine yourself. So remember that. Whenever you're about to get angry and you're required to have patience, patience requires you to do what? Imprison your rage. Whenever you're going through a calamity and you want to scream and shout and wail, imprison your emotions. Does that make sense? When you're about to do a haram and someone tells you, be patient, Be patient till you're married. Then you can enjoy the opposite gender, right? Then what do? You imprison your nafs. So sabr means to imprison, to control, to restrain, to withhold. Does that make sense? That's what it means, lughatan. That's what it means in the Arabic language. Now we have a term which is from the Quran, which is sabrun jameel. To not just have patience, but to have beautiful patience. What does beautiful patience mean? What is beautiful patience? Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, who is Shaykh al-Islam, he explained it. He said, beautiful patience is when a person doesn't complain about the suffering he or she is going through. He doesn't complain about it. Some people, they go through something bad, they tell everyone, yeah, guess what happened to me today? Sabr, jameel. Beautiful patience is required. No, that's not beautiful patience. Beautiful patience is what? You felt the pain, but you hold it in yourself, and it hurts, and you're sad. But what do? You don't complain to anyone. Rather, you complain only. Assalamu alaikum. You complain only to Allah. Look what Allah said in the Quran about Yaqub alayhi salam. Yaqub, brothers, wallahi, if you want to talk about patience, and pain, Yaqub, me personally, I don't know, but every time I go over the last part of the story of Yusuf in Surah to Yusuf, and I come past the part of Yaqub alayhi salam, when he lost not his youngest son Yusuf, but at this stage he loses his other son, Benjamin. Then he lost his oldest son as well, because he ran away and decided to not come back. Losing 3 sons, he cried so much that he went blind. Imagine crying so much that you go blind, you lose your eyesight. So when he realized that he lost even another son, what did he do? He didn't shout, scream, tell off his sons, look, I told you take care of another son of mine, you let me down again. He said, Allah said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. He said, I complain of my sadness only to Allah. And that's what sabrun jameel means. That's what beautiful patience means. And they said, وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. He said, I know from Allah, and I have knowledge about Allah, that which you don't have. But inshallah ta'ala, this part of the story will come to next week in more detail when we do the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. Mujahid ibn Jabr rahimahullah ta'ala said, beautiful patience, on the topic of beautiful patience, he says, it is the patience in which people cannot feel pity for you, nor can they feel sorrow. Why? Because if a person was to look at you, they would look at you and think, wow, he's the happiest man alive. He looks normal. He looks so normal. Wallahi, I know some people who, wallahi, if you knew the pain and suffering that they were going through, your mouth would drop, your jaw would drop right now. Like, wow, he's so normal. He laughs, he jokes, he goes to work, comes to the masjid, classes, studies, But if you was to know some of the sicknesses that some of these people have, or some of the trials that they're going through, you'd be like, wow, how does he maintain? How does this person remain composed? Why? Because they come with sabrun jameel, a patience. They want to complain only to Allah. They don't want anyone to feel sorry for them. They want anyone to have pity on them. They only want help from Allah. So they only turn to Allah to complain, to ask for help. Why? Because when you talk about your stresses, you want something from the people. Sadness, sorrow, pain, grief, sympathy, pity. Like, this person wants nothing from the humans. He only wants it from Allah. He knows any kind of comfort that's going to come my way is not going to come from some Abdullah, from some slave of Allah. He said it's going to come from Allah Himself. So why am I going to waste time showing the people my pain? They probably have their own pain that they're dealing with. I'm going to go to Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's sabrun jameel. So now we know sabr and we know sabrun jameel. Now let's talk about the types of sabr. the types of patience. And the types of patience are three. There is patience, and this is a fa'idah. If you guys don't know this, you should write it down. And sometimes we hear things, you might say, I've heard it, but if you don't remember it right now, you can't pull it out right now, it means you don't know it. So write it so then you won't forget it again. Because this is your life. This is your life. If sabr is half your deen, as the Prophet ﷺ said, the sabr is of three types. So half your deen is divided into these three categories. So you need to make sure you know these three and you alternate your day to day according to these three. Number one, you have to be patient upon the obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. Number two, and I'll give you an example of all of them in a second. Number two, you have to be patient in staying away from disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal. And number three, you have to be patient during calamities. You have to be patient during suffering. You have to be patient during pain. Right? So three, patient when it comes to obeying Allah. Patient when it comes to not disobeying Allah. Number three, patient during trials, calamities, pain, suffering. Patient in that situation. Let's give an example of all three, because with the example, Assalamu alaikum, the matter becomes clear. Number one, patience upon the obedience of Allah means to be patient when Allah told you do some things and they're hard for you. For example, fasting, is that hard in the summer, in the heat? Is it hard? Yes, it is. It requires patience. But here the patience is in the direction of obeying Allah. Waking up for Fajr in the morning, does that require patience? Of course it requires patience. But that requires what? Patience in the obedience of Allah. To wake up for Tahajjud even before Fajr, that's a greater degree of patience. Because what are you doing? You're waking up even earlier, you're fighting with your nafs even more to obey Allah. To give charity, I've got to part my money. That's patience is required to do that. But this is not patience because you're sick. It's not patience because what? You're broke. It's patience. Why? Because patience in obeying Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because we said patience means to restrict and imprison yourself. So you're imprisoning your desire to want to keep the money, to spend it for the sake of Allah and obeying Him. You're imprisoning your desire to want to sleep so you can wake up early and worship Allah Azza wa Jal. You're imprisoning your desire to eat and drink and be intimate with your spouse so that you can obey Allah in fasting Him. So that's the first type. The second type is to be patient when it comes to staying away from disobeying Allah. To be patient when it comes to staying away from disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal. For example, a man sees a beautiful woman in front of him and she's approaching him. So what does he do? Does he engage with her? No. That would be disobedience. So now to not disobey Allah, he has to be patient. Again, what is patience? To restrict, withhold, to imprison yourself. So here you're imprisoning yourself. Why? Not to carry out a command of obedience, but to carry out a command to stay away from falling into disobedience. Does that make sense? Oh, you see an opportunity to make some money, but you find out that this transaction is haram. You find out this transaction is haram, and it's easy money right now, but there's riba involved. Riba involved. And you're broke and you've been suffering, you've been trying to find a way out for a halal means. It's not coming, but then it comes, and what do you do? Patience. Have sabr. Don't fall into that disobedience. The third category of patience is to have patience when it comes to pain and suffering. This is like the ayah where Allah said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah said, and we will test you. With what? With a loss of... Allah said, we'll test you with fear. We'll test you with poverty. We'll test you with a loss of wealth, a loss of life, a loss of fruits, a loss of luxuries. We'll test you with these things. What is it? To lose a life, to lose a friend, to lose your money, to lose your fruits, to be in a state of fear, to be in a state of hunger. This is calamity. This is not you obeying or disobeying. This is a situation that came onto you that you're stuck in. And what can you do? In a situation, you can lash out and take revenge. In a situation, what? You can start screaming, shouting, crying, wailing, beating your chest. You can start complaining. What do? I'm going to have not just patience, he said, I'm going to have beautiful patience, no one's even going to know what I'm going through. You get hit with a disease, this falls under that. Now Ibn Taymiyyah said this last one of calamity divides into two categories. This last one about calamity divides into two categories. The first category is when Allah inflicts you with this difficulty and Allah does it directly to you. For example, you wake up, you go to the doctor, he tells you you have cancer. You're like, what? That came from Allah. That came from Allah. Does that make sense? But what about if someone comes and does magic on you? That's the second type, which is where Allah tests you, puts you in a difficult situation, but He does it not directly, through someone. That's like, for example, you wake up in the morning, you get a phone call. What happened? Tell you one of your friends just got murdered. What happened? Yeah, someone just murdered him. Brothers, don't get it twisted. Allah is the one who's testing you here. Allah is the one who brought that situation about. One time, Allah done it directly. Another time, Allah done it, but He made someone else a means through which it happened. But the test is from Allah. You still are required to be patient. Like Ibn Taymiyyah said, that one is the one that's hardest to be patient in. You know why? Because when you wake up in the morning and you find the friend died, he had a heart attack. Came directly from Allah, right? There's no one to blame. You can't blame Allah. But like when you wake up in the morning, you find, well, your friend just got stabbed. And he's dead now. You have a finger to point. I can blame this person. But like yes, he has blame and he has fault and Allah will deal with him. But this situation is still ultimately all down to the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And there's wisdom in everything that He does. There's wisdom in everything that He does. Perhaps Allah Azza wa Jal caused someone to die because they were going to do even more sins. So Allah wanted their level of punishment to be less, so that they don't go into more problems on the Day of Judgment. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jal wanted a person to die because Allah loved him and Allah had mercy on him, so that on the Day of Judgment, because he got murdered, inshallah his sins will be deleted. He'll get the rewards from the person who killed him. There's wisdom in everything Allah does. So don't take it into your hands and start, taking revenge, and now, you haven't come with patience and now you yourself are a murderer. Don't do that. Allah is in control. Allah wants you to just imprison yourself. Imprison that pain that you feel. And do it is what He tells you. So, now, the third category, we said it divides into two. One is directly from Allah. One is when Allah Azza wa Jalla brings about a difficult situation for you through someone else. And that one is the hardest because you've got someone to blame. That's like when a person does magic on you, I can blame him. I can point the finger. You know what I'm saying? And that's hardest to remain patient in. So that's the three types of patience. Okay, now brothers, sisters. Getting to Jannah requires patience, yeah? Which type of patience do you need to go to Jannah? I'm going to read a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ onto you. And then inshallah ta'ala, I want you to tell me which one. It's a hadith about how you can get to Jannah. It's a hadith about how you can make it inside of paradise. But the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Azza wa Jalla, لَمَّا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الْجَنَّةِ, when Allah Azza wa Jalla, He created paradise. And when He made it, what did He do? He told Jibreel, اذهب فانظر إليها, go to Al-Jannah, go to paradise and look at it. فذهب, he went to paradise, he looked at it. فنظر إليها ثم جاء فقال, after he looked at paradise and how amazing it is and how beautiful it is, what did he do? He went back to Allah and then he said, Rabbi, he said, my Lord, this place is so amazing and it's so beautiful that I don't think there is anyone that would not want to come here. I don't think there's anyone that would not want to be inside of paradise. So then Allah Azza wa Jal, He placed makarih around Al-Jannah. Makarih are things that you and I dislike. Things that you and I dislike. For example, Waking up in the morning to pray Fajr. Waking up in the morning to pray Tahajjud. Fasting. So what? You can't eat, drink and even be intimate with your wife who's married to you. What? To go out in the path of Allah, to give sadaqah, give your money out. That you've worked so hard for yourself, but you've got to give it to the poor. You have to give zakat, have to give sadaqah. We don't like to do these things are hard. These things are hard. And Allah placed these things around Al-Jannah, and then He told Jibreel, go look at it again. Go look again one more time. So Jibreel went and he looked, and he said, oh my goodness. He came back to Allah, he said, Allah, I don't think anyone is going to be able to get inside of Al-Jannah. It's too hard. The things that people want to do, this is not that. These are things that people do not. If going to Jannah means you have to do these things, people don't like to do these things. I don't think anyone's going to be able to make it inside of Al-Jannah. And then Allah Azza wa Jal, when He created the hellfire, He told Jibreel, go look at it. So Jibreel went, he looked at the hellfire. He came back and he said, Ya Allah, I don't think anyone's going to want to come to this place. When he looked at the horror, and he looked at the punishments inside, and he looked at how scary the hellfire is. What did he do? He came back and said, Ya Allah, I don't think anyone's going to want to go in here. And then Allah placed desires around of Al-Jannah. And what are desires? Desires are the things that me and you, we want to do. And Imam Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala in his Kitab al-Tazkirah, he divided the desires into 3 things. Wallah brothers, you should write this down, this is a benefit. These are the 3 things that people want to do, that take them face first, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, that take them face first into the hellfire. What is it? Number 1, it is al-mal, money, wealth. People do bad things for money. People do a lot of evil for money. Number 2, an-nisa, women. Men do bad things for women. Men do evil things to get women. The Prophet and these 2 things, al-mal and women, are captured in a hadith of the Prophet where he mentioned fear the dunya and fear the women. When Allah said fear the women, when the Prophet said fear the women, who was he talking to? Who was he talking to? When Allah said fear the fitna of the women, who was he talking to? There's only 2 options. He was either talking to the men or the women. You lot tell me. I know there's this whole LGBTQ, but which one? Men, right? Allah telling the men, fear the women. When Allah said fear the dunya, who is He talking to? The women. Because the fitna for men, that is the greatest fitna, is what? Is women. But the fitna for women, that is the greatest fitna, is the dunya. You see, women, why did they go out there to try to get the man? Why did they do that? Because the man's got the car, because the man's got the clothes, he's got the respect, he's got the money. So women, they do haram to try to get the man, because the man is the way for them to get the dunya. In other words, the mal, the wealth. And why is it that men go out of their way to get the dunya? It's not because they want the dunya in and within itself. They want the woman. But they know, when I got the car, when I got the clothes, when I got the yard, when I got this, when I got that, women are going to come easy. There are some brothers I've met recently that honestly, I look at them in their eye and I can see they actually just want the money. They just want the money. They just want the money. But qadar Allah, not all 5 fingers are the same. But generally speaking, I think all men will agree. Our brother, wallahi, will live in his mum's basement with a pot belly, okay, eating cereal with his own hands, dipping it into the milk every day for the rest of his life, if women didn't mind him being like that. But the reason he will get a job, and the reason he'll move out, and the reason why he'll hustle and he'll grind is because he knows the woman wants a house. The woman wants stability. Woman wants this. Woman wants that. Let's be real, it's stuff that we know. Does that make sense? So men do haram with the dunya to get a woman, and they do haram with a woman. And women do haram with the men to get to the dunya. Does that make sense? So know what your fitna is, my brothers. And know why. You know when you study these things, you understand where your sickness is and how shaitan comes at you. Do you understand? And then you can start to navigate and hopefully defend yourselves, inshallah. So the first thing is what? Al-mal. that takes you to the hellfire. And that was from the shahawat that Allah placed around paradise. Sorry, hellfire. He placed this around of hellfire. And then what was it? What was it? Women. The fitna of women. The desire to want women. That was from the shahawat placed around the hellfire. And then what is it? The last thing, al-jah. Respect. Reputation. Your name. Your honor. If you don't understand what I mean by that, let me give you a context. Someone says something to you, and so instigate looks at you and says, bro, you're going to take that? And because he just said that to you now you react. Because of your respect, because of your honor, because of your reputation. How many people are now dead because of reputation? How many in jail now? Because they just what? They don't want to look stupid. No one said you are stupid, you just didn't want to look stupid. So these three things, Imam Qurtubi, he summarized them as the shahawat, the desires that the humans are inclined towards. And when Allah sent Jibreel back to the hellfire, he said, go look at it again. Allah placed all of these around the hellfire. Jibreel came back and he said, Ya Allah, I don't think anyone's going to be able to escape this. If getting to Jannah means you have to do things that people don't want to do, and falling into the hellfire means falling into the things that people want to do. He said, I don't think anyone's going to be able to escape the hellfire. I don't think anyone's going to be able to escape the hellfire. Is that a lie? Is that a lie? That's true. Then how is it that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to save so many people? How is it that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to save so many people? How is it that Allah is going to save so many people on the Day of Judgment and put them into paradise? How? Exactly. Through His mercy. Through His mercy. Allah, and we're going to take this ayah next week from the story of Yusuf. Allah Azza wa Jalla say, Inna nafs, that the soul, the human soul, it commands to do evil. Your soul wants to do evil. Your soul wants. You see a woman, you think, I must, I have to touch her. That's the way the man's mind works. You see money, like I have to eat, I have to get it. The soul wants, it just wants that. It drives you towards doing evil. And then what did Allah say at the end of the ayah? Illa man rahima rabbih. Except for the one your Lord has mercy on. Except for the one your Lord has mercy on. Who is the one that Allah has mercy on? The one who does two things. Two things, brothers. You can't be patient with women. You can't be patient with money. You can't be patient with your respect. Unless Allah has mercy on you. And Allah will have mercy on you if you do two things. Number one. Ar-ruju'u ila Allah. You turn back to Allah. You ask Allah, you beg Allah, Allah save me. Allah help me. I'm struggling out here. How many of us make that dua every day? You know the Prophet would make that dua every day at night. If you was to wake up in the last third of the night, what's the dua you would make? Allah, give me a nice wife, maybe 2, 3. Give me what? A Spanish weaver sister. I know the way you brothers think. You're thinking I want one Brazilian weaver girl. Maybe I'll take myself for what? Arab girl. And then, no one wants someone from back home. For some reason, you always think, and when you get married, you always get married to the girl from around the corner. The point is that, you're making them kind of du'as. Sister's making du'a for what? She wants the Chanel bag. She wants the Louis Vuitton bag. She wants the man who's going to buy a Chanel bag. She's making them kind of du'as. The Prophet was standing in the night, you know what he said? He said, Allahumma Rabba Jibra'il, wa Mika'il, wa Israfil, Fatir al-samawati wal-ard, عالم الغيب والشهادة أنت تحكم بين عبادك فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون اهدني لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك. Look how powerful dua is. And look what he's asking for. He says, Allah, you are what? You're the Lord of Jibra'il. You're the Lord of Mika'il. You're the Lord of Israfil, the one who's going to blow the horn for the day of judgment to come. You're the one who what? You made the heavens and the earth. You have knowledge of the unseen. After praising Allah in this way, he says, Allah, what does he want now? He says, Allah, ihdini, guide me. The Prophet is making dua to be guided. He's making dua to be guided every day. The Prophet would make this dua every day in his sajda. He would say, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. He would say, Allah, you are the one who changes the hearts. Keep my heart firm on the deen. Keep my heart firm on Islam. Like, who makes this dua? This is why, wallahi, I have seen so many brothers come to the deen, start practicing, come to the masjid, come on an umrah trip, change their life. Oh my God, I want to go back and do all these things. But when they come back, they slip up. Why? Because they're not asking Allah for help. You thought you could do it yourself. You thought you had the ability to guide. No, that's why, brothers, have you ever read the translation of Surah Al-Fatiha? Why is it that every time, you know when you say Ameen, what are you saying Ameen to? What's the dua? It's Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Guide me, Ya Allah, guide me to the path that's straight. The upright path, don't let me fall off. I don't want to fall off the path, Ya Allah. Keep me straight on the path. That's what you're saying Ameen to. Guidance, because you realize, I can't, I'm going to fall into what hellfire wants from me. I'm going to fall into haram money. I'm going to fall into women. I'm going to fall into what? Doing something dumb because of my respect. I'm going to fall into this. A Bedouin man came to the Prophet ﷺ, grabbed him by the neck, by the collar right here. Can you imagine? The Prophet in Medina, he's like a king now. No one can talk to him. He's conquered Mecca. A Bedouin man comes to the Prophet, grabs him by the collar, shakes, to the point where a mark gets left on the Prophet's neck and says, give me Muhammad from what's been given to you. Give me money. The Sahaba ready to what? Finish this man. The Prophet, he didn't want to do none of that. He said to Anas ibn Malik, he said, give the man what he wants. The Prophet didn't care how a man talks to me or treats me. I'm a slave to Allah. All I care is how Allah thinks of me. Does that make sense? So respect wasn't an issue for him. Mal wasn't an issue for him. Women weren't an issue for him. Does that make sense? So he was able to, why? Because he was able to restrict himself that way. Brothers, the point here is, be patient. Okay? Patience requires you to stay away from these things. Okay? These things, you cannot stay away from them unless Allah helps you. Allah will help you. Two things. The first of which is, ask Allah. Ask Allah. Ar-ruju' ila Allah. Turn back to Allah. Constantly. You feel like you're about to do a sin? Ask Him. Ask Him. Ask Him. Ask Him. Allah, please, I don't want to do this. What did Yusuf do? We took it, right? We took it a couple of weeks ago. The woman that wanted to sleep with him. The situation was, it was just him and her. Everything was in the favor of the woman getting what she wanted. But what did he say? Ma'adallah. Allah is secret. Your help from this. And Allah, what did He do? He miraculously opened the door. And He saved Yusuf alayhi salam. That's the first thing. Ask Allah for help. Brothers, the second thing. What's the second thing? What's the second thing? The second thing is, try yourself. Some of us, we try to be guided, but without asking. Some of us ask, but don't try. All day he's making dua, Allah, guide me. What's he doing? He's still hanging on the block with the same guys. He's telling me, I want to change. I'm trying to be on deep, but he's still rolling with those same guys. He's still in the same environment. He hasn't put the effort in. Mujahadatun nafs is the second thing. Fight with yourself. Fight with your soul. Your soul what? It wants the evil, but you fight with it, fight with it, fight with it, fight with it, fight with it all day. And that's why Allah said, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Allah said, the ones who they do jihad for us. It's jihadun nafs. Jihad with yourself. Allah said, we guide them to our paths. Two things. Ask Allah and strive. And then and only then will you be able to escape the clutches of the hellfire, inshallah. Does that make sense? Now the question I want to ask you is, what kind of patience do you need to go to Al-Jannah? And what kind of patience do you need to stay away from the hellfire? So there's three types of patience. One is needed to get into Al-Jannah, and one is needed to be protected from falling into the hellfire. Who could tell me? Who's smart here?
Women.
Say that again, sorry? So what does that fall into? Which one of the... You weren't here at the beginning, so don't worry. You're right in the sense where the women fall under that type of patience. But who could tell me which type of... Go on, Akhi. To stay away from haram. So to be patient in staying away from sins saves you from hell. And to be patient in the obedience of good deeds takes you to Al-Jannah. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And that's the type of patience that you need. Does that make sense? And that's a benefit that Imam Ibn Qayyim took in his book on patience and gratitude. Brothers, I want to mention some things, some evidences that highlight the importance of sabr in our deen. Patience is mentioned over 100 times in the Quran. You repeat something when it's important, right? Allah mentioned it over 100 times in the Quran. Number one. Number two, Allah mentioned sabr next to salah. Allah said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah said, oh you who believe, seek help from Allah in patience and prayer. Allah said, Allah is with those who are patient. Number three, Allah Azza wa Jalla took an oath that all of mankind is in a state of loss except those who have patience. Allah said, وَالْعَصْرِ. Allah said, I take an oath by time. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. That the mankind, the race of humans and even the jinn are all in a state of loss. Loss means you're going to hell. Al-Fawz wal-Falah, the people of success, they go to Al-Jannah. The people of Khusran, the people of Khusr, they go to the hellfire. So these are people of what? Loss. All of them, Allah said, they're all going in that direction. Everyone, all of mankind, everyone inside mankind is heading towards hellfire. That's what Allah is telling you in this surah. But then Allah makes an exception of one group of people. This one group though, it has 4 characteristics. These are not 4 separate groups. That means if you want to be in this group, you have to have all 4. You can't just say, I'm going to take one and you take another. That one I'm struggling with, I'm not going to take. No, if you want to be a part of this group, you take all 4. What is it? Iman. And Iman can't come except through knowledge. So knowledge is the foundation here. Iman, knowledge. Number 2, righteous actions, implementing that knowledge. Number 3, وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, calling people to the truth, giving da'wah. Once you learnt that knowledge and you implemented it yourself, what do? You call everyone else. You tell people in your families, start practicing. You call people in your area, fix up. You give da'wah to them. And what do? The last thing, وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, be patient. So the evidence here that shows how great patience is that Allah said everyone is going to go hell except for the people who have these 4 characteristics. One of them, or rather Allah indicated that they're on the path to hell, except for those who have these 4 characteristics. From them, one is what? Patience. And there's many other evidences that show the importance of patience in our deen. And inshallah we'll conclude with some points. What are the fruits of having patience? What are the benefits? What are the rewards? What do you get if you're a person who comes to as-sabr? What is it? What is it? The first thing is you have Iman. The hadith from Imam At-Tabarani rahimahullah ta'ala, narrated by Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said half of Iman is patience and the other half is gratitude. So you have Iman. You come with sabr, that's a sign of your Iman, inshallah ta'ala. Does that make sense? And Iman needs a proof, right? It needs a proof. It needs proof. So from the proofs of Iman is what? Patience. As-sabru diya. Patience is a light. What does a light do? It's a lantern. What does it do? It shines. So your sabr, it shines as a proof for you that you have Iman right now. The second thing is that to be a person who is, we talk about righteousness, to have bir, to be a good person. You will not be truly a good person. You will not be truly a righteous person until you become a sabr. Look what Allah mentioned. He mentioned, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. Allah said, being a good person, being righteous, doesn't mean just turning your head from the east to the west. I just turn my head to the east to the west. Rather, Allah said, وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ وَآتَى الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَابْنَ السَّبِيلِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla said that the ones who are truly people of good, they believe in Allah. Aqeedah first and foremost. Tawheed, brothers. Look at that. People tell you, oh, this Christian man, he's so good, he's going to go to hell. He does shirk billahi azza wa jal. He worships a man besides Allah.
He's going to be the atheist. He gives so much charity though. He's going to burn and roast and toast in the hellfire. Akhi, the first thing Allah said, Amana billah. If Allah is describing good, you want to be good, Allah saying this is what you do. The first thing is, you believe in Allah. Number 2, the day of judgment. Number 3, the angels. Number 4, the books. Number 5, the prophets. You follow the Prophet ﷺ here. وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى. You give out wealth. وَالْيَتَامَ, to your relatives, to the orphans. وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, the poor. وَابْنَ السَّبِيلِ, the one who's traveling and he doesn't have anything. وَفِي الرِّقَابِ, وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ, he stands in salah. وَآتَ الزَّكَاةِ, he gives the zakah. وَالْمُوفُونَ بِأَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا عَاهَدُوا. What did Allah say? وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. Allah said they are people who are patient. When the calamity comes, when the pain comes, when the suffering comes, when the difficulty comes, وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. They are patient. And then what did Allah say at the end of that? After mentioning patience, He said, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا. They are the ones who are truthful. Truthful what? I'm a good person, bro. This is the test. Are you a liar or are you truthful when you said that? I'm a believer, I believe. I'm Muslim. I'm a believer, bro. Okay, this is the test. Allah, believe in Allah, Day Judgment, angels, books, prophets, all the way down to patience. And if you don't have that, you really have to question yourself. Are you really good? Are you really that good? Work on it. Sometimes, you know what, you might be trying to be patient and you fall off. Don't worry, that doesn't mean you're bad, as long as you're trying. The point is, are you trying? Are you fighting yourself? When you slipped up, do you feel regret? Why did I do that? That's all a sign of Iman. Keep doing that, keep doing that. Keep doing 2 things. Keep asking Allah and keep fighting yourself. Keep asking Allah, keep fighting yourself until you get it. The second thing that happens when it comes to patience, in terms of fruits, benefits, rewards, is that patience is a means for you to be guided. Patience, if you come with sabr, it's a reason for Allah to guide you. Allah said, وَمَن يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ. Whoever believes in Allah, يَهْدِي قَلْبَهُ. Allah guides his heart. Whoever believes in Allah, Allah guides his heart. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he mentioned the hadith, Imam al-Bayhaqi, he brings it in Shu'ab al-Iman. Shu'ab al-Iman. He said, that guiding the heart means that when a person is going through calamities, so Ibn Mas'ud said this, and Imam al-Bayhaqi brings it in Shu'ab al-Iman, that when a person is going through calamity, he's going through hardship and difficulty in his life, this is what it means, because Allah said, whoever believes in Allah, Allah will guide his heart. So what does it mean Allah will guide his heart? It means 3 things. When he's in difficulty, number 1, he knows the difficulty came from Allah. Allah is the one testing you here. You lose a friend, you lose your money, you go to jail, you come out of jail, whatever happens to you, you get sick, someone gets sick, someone dies, you get injured, you get run over, you fail an exam, it came from Allah, number 1. Number 2, you become pleased with it. Why? Because you know there is always good in it. That's correct. Someone got killed, there was good in it. Someone got robbed, there was good in it. Someone got a disease and they died, there was good in it. Someone what? Lost a life. Allah ultimately is bringing khair here. It's always good in it. And number 3, what does he do? He surrenders to it. He says, Allah, I accept it. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm going to just take it. These 3 things, when they come, that's what it means that your heart is guided. The Prophet ﷺ, rather Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, what did he say? He said, patience is a vehicle that whenever you ride it, it will always take you to your destination. It will always take you to your destination. You're going for a difficult time. It will eventually pass, will it not? It will eventually pass. Will it not eventually pass? Of course it will. So a person, he jumps into a car, he knows that I'm going from point A to point B. Sabr is the car that you drive when you're in a difficulty. Just be patient. Hold the storm. Hold on to it. Eventually the storm is going to pass. When it passes, you come out with your head high. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, look what he said. He said, the best life we ever lived. You know when you look back and you think about the good times. You think about the good times. Oh yeah, those are the good days. The good old days. Umar is saying, you know what the good old days were? It was the days when we lived the life of patience. Why? Why is he saying that? Because when you're patient, you know that you're not in control. Allah is in control. Allah is in control. Allah is going to bring you out of this. That when you're not patient, what are you doing every day? What are you doing every day? Every day you're trying to get out of it. You're trying to work out yourself. But when you're patient, you're saying, Allah, you've got me here. And that's one of the beautiful things about Yaqub alayhi salam, which we mentioned earlier. That even though he lost his first son, second son, third son, because he was constantly turning back to Allah, he always had hope and trust that Allah will bring his sons back, and Allah brought all of them back. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when it came to slaughtering his son, he had trust in Allah, he had patience when he was doing that. What did Allah do? Allah gave him his son back, and a ram was slaughtered instead. Ayub alayhi salam, when he lost what? He lost his health, he lost his wealth, his family members, everyone died. To the point where he became so sick that maggots started to live in his skin. They started to grow in his skin, and they started to live inside of his skin. That's how bad his situation got. Because he was patient. He was patient. Eventually he came out of it, and Allah gave him more at the end. The Prophet ﷺ was patient with regards to what he went through, and Allah gave him Mecca in the end. And all of those tribes who were against him, they came back to him, begging him for peace and mercy. Brothers, patience is a vehicle that when you drive and you really do it properly, giving yourself to Allah, Allah will take you to the destination that you're trying to get to. Another benefit and reward and fruit that comes from patience is that Allah will give you victory. Brothers, Allah is not going to give you victory until He tests you, until you show Him, Allah, I am patient. Allah will not give you victory until He tests you and He puts you to difficulty and He sees that you right here, you are patient. Then He'll give you victory. Look what Allah said. وَأَوْرَثْنَا الْقَوْمَ الَّذِينَ كَانُوا يُسْتَضْعَفُونَ مَشَارِقَ الْأَرْضِ وَمَغَارِبَهَا. Allah said, and we gave a people the earth from the east and the west. We made them conquer the earth. We gave it to them. They used to what? They used to be humbled on the earth. They were suffering on the earth, but they were patient. Banu Israel, the children of Israel, they were what? Tortured under Fir'aun. Slaves. This was madness. It was not just slavery. He got into their heads to the point where they didn't believe Fir'aun could die. That's one of the reasons why Allah said, I'm going to make his body a sign for you, so you can see. So you can, every day you can come back and see this man, he's dead. They didn't believe Fir'aun could die. He got into their heads, brothers. He mental tortured them, physically tortured them. And these people, what did they do? They conquered from the east to the west. When they what? كَانُوا يُسْتَضْعَفُونَ. They were weak in the earth. And when they were weak, what did Allah say? وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ الْحُسْنَ عَلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ بِمَا صَبَرُوا. Allah completed His favor on them when they were patient. Allah made them conquer the earth because of their patience. And then when they left patience, and they stopped being patient, Allah gave the earth to the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the what did the Prophet say? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he say? He said, my ummah is going to follow the people from before. شبرا بشبر ذراعا بذراع حتى لو دخلوا في جحر دب لدخلتموه أو كما قال. The Prophet ﷺ said that my ummah is going to follow the nations before, the people from before. And they're going to follow them footstep by footstep, handspan by handspan. They're going to be right behind them. To the point where if they were to go inside of the hole of a lizard, he said, my ummah, you Muslims, my ummah will follow them into that hole. Sahaba asked, Al-Yahud wa Nasara, are you talking about the Jews and the Christians? The Prophet said, Faman. Or kama qala, he said, who else? The Jews and the Christians. So when we started to follow them, Allah took the earth away from us. And until we come back to sabr, Allah will not give it to us again. So come with patience. Come with patience. So victory doesn't come through voting for Labour. It comes through patience. Just drop it in there. Just a reminder. And the last thing is that Allah's mercy, brothers, Allah's mercy descends on the people who are patient. Allah's mercy comes down. And why is that important? Because the Prophet ﷺ told his companions, no one will go into Jannah through his good deeds. No one's going to have done enough good deeds to make it to Al-Jannah. Rather, you will only make it to Al-Jannah through as-sabr, patience. Sorry, through the mercy of Allah. Through the mercy of Allah. Through the mercy of Allah. Sahaba said, not even you, O Prophet? Not even you, O Messenger of Allah? And the Prophet said, not even me. Even me, I have not done enough to get to Al-Jannah through my good deeds. I need Allah's mercy. So how does the mercy come? Allah Azza wa Jalla said, إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ. A group of people, whenever a difficulty comes to them, قَالُوا, they say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They say, Allah, this came from you. I belong to you, and I return back to you. They don't go to the doctor first. He gets sick, he doesn't say, I need medical help. When he's broke, he doesn't think, let me ask who can give me money and start begging people. He says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He says, Allah, I belong to you and to you I return. His heart's connected to Allah, not to the creation. What did Allah say? أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. Allah said, these are the people, upon them is my mercy. And when you get that mercy, brothers, you can walk through the gates of Al-Jannah, inshallah. For those who came late, who were expecting the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, and you might be confused, I didn't start the story of Yusuf alayhi salam today. I'm going to finish it next week because I didn't want the sisters to miss out and they missed the first part of this talk. So we just took a benefit with regards to sabr. But inshallah ta'ala, we'll leave it here.
Yo,
what's going on, bro?
yeah, I got the thing.
What? How much is in there?
20 mil.
You being serious?
Yeah, hold that. It's yours now.
You guys are probably wondering how this dusty looking camera is worth 20 mil. Let me break it down for you. About 6 years ago, some brothers and sisters gave us about £600 in order for us to purchase this camera to make da'wah videos. 6 years later, alhamdulillah, we made well over 1,000 videos and we reached over 20 million plus views on YouTube alone without taking into account all the other social media platforms that we're on. So those people at the time when they gave that money, I don't think they had any idea that £600 that they gave was gonna go towards a camera that would reach 20 million people who watch videos and they changed their lives after having watched them, who watched these videos and started praying, who watched these videos and accepted Islam. Can you imagine if they were sincere, the kind of reward that they're going to get on the day of judgment, inshallah ta'ala? But now here's the issue. This camera is 6 years old. I mean, there's cracks in it, it's breaking, it's well past its sell-by date. We're trying to take things up to the next level. In order to do that, we need a new camera. In fact, we need more than one. We need more equipment. We need to actually hire a bigger media team. But all of this stuff, it comes with expenses, it comes with costs. And over the next 6 years, inshallah ta'ala, we're looking to reach well over 20 million people. Now look, I'm going to be direct with you. I'm about to ask you for some money to put towards the da'wah for the sake of Allah. But before I do that, I want to tell you some figures, some statistics to show you the kind of reward that you might be looking at, inshallah, if you come with sincerity and the donation. Just take a look at the kind of numbers we have over the last 90 days. Over the last 90 days, we received over 1.4 million views on our YouTube channel alone. That's 466,000 views every 30 days. That's 15,555 views per day. That's right. You could be in your sleep, sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours a day, however much you sleep, and just earning a reward, inshallah ta'ala. Why? Because you gave a bit of money that went towards a very big project. Now, with that 15,000 odd views a day, if you average that out across 6 years, which is the lifespan of this camera, do you know how much reward that is, inshallah? That's 34,065,450 views. I don't know about you, but that kind of reward, I need that in my life. This is not the kind of opportunity that we should be passing up, especially if you've got sins. The Prophet ﷺ said that giving charity wipes away sins the way that water, it extinguishes fire. So look, say no more, inshallah ta'ala. I don't feel like I should have to convince you towards giving to a project like this anymore. If you want that kind of reward, you want the da'wah to spread, you want la ilaha illallah to spread across the internet, inshallah ta'ala, then you want to give at the link below to this project. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Remember, 20 mil, yeah, and that's on YouTube alone.